the RCWR Show, covering the very latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Monday night of the final day in September. You know, if it's September 30th, you know what that means. Do you remember? From the first time in September, it's the last time that we get to do Earth, Wind, and Fire. I don't really know how the lyrics to that song goes. I just know when that song plays, hey, I'm just bobbing and all that good stuff, man. So, hey, appreciate you guys checking out the show. As always, means a lot. If you're new, welcome. Come one, come all, stay a while. I am excited to be talking about tonight's Raw. Also, we got some headlines. We've got the pay-per-view from WWE, Hell in a Cell pay-per-view that's going to be coming up. It is a jam-packed week if you are a wrestling fan. If you've been craving for wrestling from a variety of promotions and your only issue is, money's a little bit tight and I can't buy all these network subscriptions to all of these different wrestling promotions, but you've got your respected cable satellite provider, depending on who your cable or satellite provider is, you've got the best ticket, which is that remote control in your hand and your sofa or your bed or recliner, whatever it is. You've got the best seat in the house all this week and the weeks to come. Man, great week to be a wrestling fan, especially going into the end of 2019. I honestly would have to say, hey, look, before we go any further into tonight's show, we got to show some love to some sponsors. Some of these sponsors, they're making a one-time appearance and working with us on this episode. And then we've got one sponsor in particular we want to show a lot of love to up front right now before we go any further into the show. We are hooking up with the good people behind a comedy/political movie called President Evil. What I want you guys to do is hear the ad for that. And definitely go out of your way. You just listen to the ad. The ad is about 57 seconds long. We told them we were going to be pushing them out within the first 3 minutes of the show. So I definitely want to give them mad props because we're actually hooking up and working with them for the next 6 months. Okay, so they have made a very generous contribution to the RCWR show with Lee Sanders with regards to sponsorship and advertising go. So we were partnering up with them for the next several months. I think you guys, based on how our audience is, I think this is something that's definitely right up your alley. So go ahead, listen to this ad. It's only 57 seconds long, and then we'll definitely get into some more good fun. Yeah, we'll get into the show for Raw tonight and a whole bunch of other tidbits. All right, you know how we do it on the RCWR show. Let me load this up so you guys can play and play around and hear this here. If you love the combination of politics and comedy, shows like Saturday Night Live, Real Time with Bill Maher, The Daily Show, or how about Late Night with Stephen Colbert, if that's you, do yourselves a favor and check out the movie President Evil, directed by Richard Lowry. Just days before the November midterm elections, 3 young girls who are Muslim, Mexican, and Haitian are stalked by a deranged killer dressed as the President of the United States. Hey, if you're curious, and I know you are, check out the trailer right now on YouTube and on Amazon. Purchase the movie President Evil on Amazon via Amazon Prime Video. It's your American duty to laugh. Do so right now and pick up your copy of President Evil today. All right, once again, shout out to our special sponsor for tonight and future episodes of the RCWR show, the good, kind people behind the movie President Evil. Go check that out, and I actually have the link available for those of you that maybe got that Amazon set up and everything. You want to check it out? Let me actually hook it up. Let me hook you guys up real quick here, because that was actually one of the last things I had put out, because I really didn't tweet that much. I was kicking back, really enjoying tonight's Raw, and let me see if I can pull that up real quick here. It should be here. Hang on a second here, guys. Let me pull this up here. And if I can't grab it in the next couple of seconds, I'll just try to go for it later on during the night here. Let's see here. That is weird. I don't know. I don't know if you guys are following me on Twitter, but I could have sworn I had put, yeah, there it is. There it is. I got the link. All right, here you go, guys, in the YouTube chat, and maybe those of you that's listening to the show via Discord, because we're streaming in Discord, and we're also streaming via YouTube right now. I'll probably bring back the show app and all that next week. I didn't really have enough time to get that set up for you guys, but it's all good. All right, let's see here. Copy paste that link, and there you go. Hang on. Copy paste that. There we go. All right, so you guys can check out that link, and it should take you directly over there. All right, man, so look, Raw tonight, this was their season premiere. I enjoyed it. I loved it. It really had set the tone as far as, okay, upcoming WWE programming. All right, AEW. Let's not forget, Saturday Slam is back this weekend on Access TV. Wow, Women of Wrestling. And if you've noticed, particularly on the YouTube channel, but now we've also made the audio version be available. You now get to access WoW recap shows, right? So you got all that going on. And then you got BN. They've got the MLW, all that stuff that's going on. So the tone that WWE had set tonight, and did I mention AEW premiere coming up this Wednesday? So, I mean, the tone that WWE set tonight with Raw to kick off the solid week and what's going to be, without a doubt, great wrestling content, I thought they had set the pace very well. I definitely want to talk about the end of Raw tonight. I mean, I got to give mad shout out to Lana and Rusev. For those that don't know, and you'd be surprised, there are many people that do not read the dirt sheets. They do not be on social media following said celebrities' personal lives, journeys, and all of that jazz. You've got people that are just in the dark. But I got to give mad props to Lana and Rusev. For those that don't know, in real life, Lana and Rusev are a married couple. I think they've been married now. God, it feels like they've been married almost 3 years. It feels like, just about. And if it's longer than that, then it's longer than that. Time flies. But for sure, 3 years at least they've been married. And congrats to Rusev. Rusev, I think it was right before the weekend, he had announced that finally he had became an American citizen, right? So that's pretty cool. You know, honestly, for him to go in that direction, especially considering everything that's going on with the current climate from a political standpoint, for him to say, nah, man, I like everything good that's coming about with this country, the people, the opportunities, economic wise, being able to be in a place where my family will be set for life, my future children, they'll be set for life. For him to just put everything negative that's been happening in the press, politics, all that stuff, for him to be able to put all that to the side and be like, nah, man, you know what? I want to go for this United States citizenship. You know, that says a lot. That speaks volumes. And that's as far as I'm going to go from the political spectrum. If you want me to get any more political longer than 5 minutes, you got to check out the stuff that we do on Patreon, because that's where we can really just kind of go all balls out. Don't really have to worry about ruffling people's feathers and all that. But shout out to Lana and Rusev, because if you would have told me that Raw tonight was going to end with Rusev having a main event match with Seth Rollins for the WWE Universal Championship, which was a great match, by the way, but then we would get a little bit of interference, if you will, in the form of a distraction from Lana, because the running gag these past couple of weeks since since Rusev has been back looking better than ever from a physical standpoint. I don't know if he's on a keto diet or what, but he looks to be in the best shape of his life. And I remember watching him from his NXT days. That's how far back I go. Best shape of his life right now. Looks good, man. Looks jacked, looks shredded, all that. If you would have told me that Lana was going to be in this weird angle where every time Lana's name is brought up, Rusev really doesn't want to address it. And tonight we had Charlie Caruso interviewing Rusev, trying to figure out, hey, the whole WWE universe wants to know what's going on with Lana. Where's Lana? And he pretty much deflects that, and it's like, hey, what's going on with my personal life right now? That's off the table. That's irrelevant. What's up right now is what went down just now with Seth Rollins. And let's really kind of back it up a little bit. So we got to this match between Seth Rollins and Rusev for the title as a result of the action of one Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar had attacked Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic, right? And this was pretty much kicking off Raw. Rey Mysterio had actually kicked off Raw, and he had some pretty encouraging things to say. Pretty much in a nutshell, he was looking forward to this match that he was having tonight against Rollins for the title. But then cue up the music of Brock Lesnar, Lesnar coming on out there, and Paul Heyman getting ready to say a little something on the microphone. Rey Mysterio being quick-witted, grabbing that microphone. I mean, he snatched the hell out of that microphone from Heyman. Love that whole exchange. And before Ray could even say anything to counter Paul Heyman, Lesnar just comes in viciously with the F5. Man, I mean, he just destroyed the hell out of freaking Rey Mysterio. And then he goes over to Dominic. Dominic was actually watching from ringside with some friends, everything that was going on. And Lesnar was literally, from a physical standpoint, intimidating and teasing the hell out of Dominic to jump on out there. But Dominic would not jump out there. He had a buddy to his right, a black friend of his, and that guy looked very familiar. I swear he is a local indie rapper or something. I could be wrong, but anyway, his friend's trying to convince him, nah, man, please, you saw what he just did to your dad. Like, nah, man, you don't want none of that. And so Dominic actually sits down. He was standing up, almost kind of sizing up Lesnar a little bit, but he decides, nah, you know what, it ain't worth it. Let me just sit my ass back down. Lesnar pretty much kind of pulling one of those Heath Slater moments. You got kids? I totally understand. I got kids too. I got kids too. I don't give a damn about your kids, right? He pretty much manhandles the hell out of Dominic. And I mean, if you would tell me in less than a month, I would make another reference to one of my all-time favorite movies in Casino. I mean, for me, what Lesnar did to Dominic and what he did to Rey Mysterio, it reminded me so much of one of those key scenes towards the end of Casino where Pesci, and what was it? I think it was Pesci and his brother, wasn't it? They had got those metal steel pipes, steel bats taken to them. Remember that? If you guys see Casino, you know exactly the scene I'm talking about, right? And it was like a mulling of what happened with Ray and Son. So I enjoyed all of that came about. I think the way things had panned out, yeah, it's coming back to me now. Dominic was the one on the stretcher. Ray feeling very sorry that his son got involved in this whole thing. And shout out to the commentators. They kept homing in on the fact that Dominic is a teenager. One point they said 19 years old, but then they just ditched the age. They just kept saying teenager. When, if you've been following Rey Mysterio and family, I mean, there's a lot of us that grew up on Mysterio, right? And we know very well about his family. We grew up watching his son Dominic. We all know our wrestling, and we know our guys and girls. Dominic is actually 22 going on 23. But you know what? Hey, just for one night, I mean, he looks like a big kid anyway without the facial hair. Fine, go ahead. Yeah, he's a teenager. I'll take it. No problem with that. So all that went down, you're going, okay, so what's up with the main event match of the night? Well, due to the injuries that both Mysterios sustained, more so the son, and Ray really wanting to be there for his son and everything, Ray, no way he could do that match. So you fast forward a little bit, and we did have the Miz TV segment that came about. Don't worry, I didn't forget about Lana and Rusev. It all ties back. You got to stay with me. So later on in the night, we see a segment that comes about Miz TV. He has the immortal Hulk Hogan, and he also has Nature Boy Ric Flair. Can we all be in agreement? That particular segment, until they really had hit the point of Hulkster and Flair being out there, for me at least, it was one of those type of deals where I said, okay, all due respect, I've seen both of these guys numerous times over the years. This really isn't doing anything for me. And I actually had let my thoughts be known in the Discord and on social media. I said, man, wouldn't it be a bitch if maybe, just maybe, the Prince Saudi had said, WWE, I want to see Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. I want to see them. I want to see them at Crown Jewel. Big money. Big money. I give you goat milk. I give you everything you need, but you give me... You give me Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. Big money. Give me match. Make it happen. I also want Yokozuna to be special referee. Right. And so you're kind of like, and I can just picture some of the heads in WWE, Your Royal Highness, with all due respect, but Ric Flair and the Hulkster, they're really up there in age now, and I give you big money, though. You say they're immortal, they can do anything, everybody loves them, we love them, we want to see them in match, please, make it happen, we want to see them in match. I understand that, Your Royal Highness, but not for nothing, and I can just imagine possibly somebody pulling out the VHS tape of Hulkster taking on Ric Flair in that abomination of a street fight from TNA. That is, if you guys have never seen that, that was a pitiful thing to watch. Any hardcore pro wrestling fan that you will come across that has seen it all in pro wrestling will tell you, when it comes to that one infamous match that Hulkster and Flair had in TNA, it was a pitiful sight to behold. A very pitiful sight to behold. And I'm telling you, you see it once, that's it. You never want to see it again. That's how bad that match was. So yeah, I'm just kind of picturing them, not for nothing, but have you seen this match? And I can just picture the Royal Highness going, okay, you make very valid point, but please, for the mother goats of milk and love, I want to see Hulkster and Ric Flair. Please, the people, they need to see. Saudi Arabia, say we never get to see Hulkster and Ric Flair. Please make it happen. We do anything. I give you my daughters. My daughters, you can marry them. You can smack them. They have no rights. They're women. They're stupid. They just know how to drive. You see? That's all they know how to do. They drive, they cook, they make kids. That's it. That's all they know how to do. Please, you could have any wife, any one of my wives. I have 21 wives. You can have them all. But please, give me the immortal Hulk Hogan and give me the Nature Boy. Woo! Ric Flair, please. And this is how we got to the point that we got to tonight. I was expecting The Fiend to come out and interrupt this Miz TV segment. And you're waiting. No, we didn't get no Fiend, right? So instead, what we get, and I was kind of right about the whole, please, no Ric Flair, Hogan, Saudi Arabia match. Please. Partially right, ultimately wrong. So what we saw of them tonight was basically a setup for the Crown Jewel event happening in the United States Halloween night. And basically there's going to be a 5-on-5 match. Team Hogan versus Team Flair. Now understand something, we really want to make sure we stress this. Flair and Hogan will not, I repeat, not be wrestling. But they are essentially they're not even really the captains, because they both respectively appointed captains for their respective teams. So I guess these are more so, I don't know what the hell you call them. They're the general managers of these teams, or they're the captains, but they've got co-captains that's actually physically going to get in the ring and get down and dirty, right? So Hogan announced his first guy, his captain, which is going to be freaking Seth Rollins, right? Ric Flair counters that, and he has Randy Orton. So you're going, okay, well, this looks pretty good. So I'm already looking at Flair's side, and I'm instantly going, I wonder if we can get Randy Orton. Okay, we got him. I wonder if we can get Baron Corbin in there. And on top of Baron Corbin, I wonder if maybe we can get Triple H in there as well. It's possible, right? Anything's possible. So we see Corbin And who was it? Corbin. Actually, no, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. So those were some of the guys that you guys saw. Rusev got involved. We'll come back. It's coming full circle now. So Orton and Seth Rollins, they had a captain versus captain match. During that match, Rollins got distracted because music of King Corbin. Corbin comes down the ringside. Long story short, he gets jumped on. All right, so it's a handicap joint happening as Rollins is getting jumped on by Rusev. And actually, no, I'm sorry, he's getting jumped by Corbin and Orton, but then Rusev comes out, saves Rollins. So now you're kind of confused going, well, what's going on here? Is Rusev a face? We just saw him when he destroyed Mike Kanellis. What the hell? Well, everything comes full circle. We learned just a couple of segments later that Rusev did what he did because he saw Seth Rollins was in a bad spot and needed help like ASAP, and now he wants to collect. And the way he wants to collect, he wants a shot at that Universal Championship. Go figure. Hey, after all, no Ray. Seth accepts. That's how you get your main event match. Now we can go full circle, talk about that closer for Raw tonight. So great matchup that happened between Rusev, Rollins. Cue up the music of one freaking Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley comes out and you're going, oh, so I guess he was the guy that was in the white limo, because a couple of segments before this main event match in the go home, we see this white limo and you're like, is it a McMahon? Or some people were saying, hey, maybe it's CM Punk. Got some CM Punk news. We'll get into that in a little bit. What's going on here? And so Lashley is just standing at the very top of the stage ramp. And finally, he just points on over to the gorilla position. Cue up the music of Lana. Rusev is standing there looking shocked as fuck. And if you know your porn sites very well, particularly a blacked.com, please be 18 years of age or older when you get ready to visit that site. If not, you had no business hearing that from my mouth, and I'm not your daddy. So what you do at your own discretion, that's your business. But we saw a moment basically from the black.com website and Lana just going all tongue down the throat of Bobby Lashley, and the feeling is basically mutual. Lashley's got a good, mighty strong hand. I mean, you can just praise Jesus. You can just feel the power of that nice soft booty of Lana's in the hands of Bobby Lashley. I mean, it was just wow. So we're going off like this, and Rusev is just standing there with the most perplexed, what the fuck look on his face. I enjoyed it. I ate it all up. But wait, just when we thought maybe Raw was going to go off like that, lights go out. We had got a tease from Bray Wyatt earlier in the night. Nice little Firefly Funhouse segment that he did. Fiend pops up once again, owning the hell out of Seth Rollins. Raw pretty much going off like that. But now you understand what I was saying earlier when I say, hey, a lot of props need to be given to Lana and Rusev, because for them to both be on the same page, both be very comfortable enough to say, okay, you know what? This angle, yeah, sure, what the hell? It's kind of, we're playing roles, right? We're acting at the end of the day. And we get to have a little fun a little bit at the fans' expense to a certain degree, right? Yeah, this is actually kind of cool. You know, let's go there. Let's do that. Yeah, this is going to be even more fucking cooler. So I give them mad props for doing that, because a number of things come into mind. One, ultimately, you and your spouse gotta be fucking tight like that in order to, even from a business standpoint. Just from a business standpoint, because you guys notice that watch enough movies, and especially if you're into the Turner Classic Movie stuff and you like, you know, movie trivia and things like that, you've got some couples that are just not comfortable with their significant other doing movie roles, and they're doing these sex scenes and it's not them. It's like, no, you can't, nope, sorry, can't have anything to do with that. Nope, not happening, sorry. So you got to be really tight with your spouse like that to be like, well, I'm down with this if you're down. I don't want to do anything that's going to make you feel like I'm disrespecting you in any type of way, because I do value our relationship, our marriage, yada, 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 what we have together, yada, yada, yada. You down? Yeah, I'm down. Oh, okay, well, as long as you down, then, yeah, and again, this is just acting, right? So, good shit right there. I loved it. Good shit. So, I guess now, as far as going back earlier to that question about, well, is Rusev a face? Like, what I guess what kind of sealed the deal tonight, you could almost make the argument that Rusev is a babyface now because of what Lashley, yeah, somehow he's hooked up with Lana and all that, right? So what I want to know, and see, this is where the writers have a very interesting challenge, and I bet you there's not going to be a lot of people that's going to reference this, but why did Lana decide to go with Lashley? Because rewind it back, we had that storyline where you had Aiden English one night, whatever it was, one night in, whatever that reference was, and supposedly him and Lana had did something, and it really seemed as though ultimately the payoff for that was going to be Lana betrays Rusev, and it would ultimately be revealed that Lana did in fact sleep with Aiden English, and that was the direction it kind of seemed like it was going. So I'm very, very curious, and shout out to my colleagues out there in the radio land and the podcasting world that gets the opportunity to interview Aiden English and Lana, because I know Lana is usually pretty transparent about some of the things happening creatively. She's usually like an open book. But one of the questions I would ask, particularly Aiden English, hey, is this the path that you ultimately were supposed to go down as far as you know? Was it discussed? Or, because it did kind of seem like the brakes just, it just stopped for him. Like, pump the brakes, right? So I'm a little bit curious where exactly they were going to go, how much further they were going to go with that whole Aiden English thing, right? Because it seemed like it had a bit of a premature end. And go figure when you think about, the whole sex thing and all that other stuff. But anyway, so most curious about that. But why would Lana go in the direction of Lashley, right? Because one of the last times we saw Lana and Rusev, and now I have to rely on you guys a little bit because my memory is a little bit fuzzy. But I could have sworn Rusev had almost kind of got to that point where he really felt as though he needed to go at it by himself and not have anybody really there in his corner, and that kind of rubbed Lana the wrong way. But I could have sworn even after that they kind of patched things up. So that's kind of one of those cases where I've got to go back this weekend maybe and just brush up on the last few things that we had saw of that power couple before both of them had took that little hiatus. But that was a good little spot that we had saw. Some other key points from Raw tonight. Again, I'm only talking about key points that caught my eye because we got loads of wrestling related news and non-wrestling related news we need to get into on the show for the next little bit that we're on. But look, I got to give it up to the new commentating team. We were prepared for this almost a week in advance. We got the announcement that 205 Live's Vic Joseph, Jerry the King Lawler, and forgive me, I cannot think of the name of the new black guy. I can't. Dio. I'd have to rely on you guys for his name. So you guys can help me out, please. I want to make sure I give him some proper respect. But I love that trio. Jerry Lawler did not power talk over the other guys. That's one thing that I definitely had enjoyed about this new commentating team tonight. And I was most curious how these guys were going to flow together. Because when you go back and you look at the Renee Young, Michael Cole, Corey Graves combo, we all can definitely be in agreement. Before Renee was added, Corey and Cole and whoever that third guy was, they all gelled very well, particularly Cole and Graves. They gelled very well together, right? So take your pick, whether it was Corey, Booker, Cole, they all gelled well, whoever it was. D.O. Madden, thank you, Austin. But once you added Renee to the mix of Corey and Cole, they somehow seemed to stumble upon each other, right? There was little interruptions. The flow was, it wasn't very fluid, basically. But, and I got to be consistent. I was very complimentary, I think the past couple of weeks, at least 2 weeks, about the Cole and the gang commentating and how they were really starting to now find their groove. And, I was actually to hear that, okay, it's going to be Corey, it's going to be Cole, but now Renee is going to be a special correspondent, whatever that means. I guess she's going to make sporadic appearances as a color commentator. So essentially, until we hear, further notice, it's going to be a two-man booth with Corey and Michael Cole. And if that's going to be the case, then I'm okay with that. I think most people would be okay with that, because some people feel that a three-man commentating team is overkill as it is, right? But this trio between Vic, Dio, Lawler, they were good. Like I said a few seconds ago, Jerry really did not power talk like that. Some of the stuff he said, was it outdated? Oh, you bet your ass it was outdated. I really didn't particularly care for, and that's where I'm so conflicted, because on the one hand, I think if you get right down to the heart of the matter, for me, I appreciate everything that Jerry Lawler has contributed to the sport of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. I sincerely do. But just from a commentating standpoint, I mean, he served his purpose very well during that Attitude Era, because it was all shock jock. It was Jerry Springer, Girls Gone Wild, Maury, Ricky Lake, Howard Stern, way before he went to Sirius XM. I'm talking about Howard Stern that was still on FM radio, and he was dealing with the FCC every single goddamn week, right? So Jerry Lawler and the way his commentating was during that era, it was a great representation. It was a great embodiment. And obviously, if you're not going to have that Jerry Lawler around in 2019, then it's almost like having all of these really cool ingredients to make a really great souffle or whatever, or a great cake. But then when you take out some of the essentials, it doesn't come out as awesome as you think it's going to be. So as a result, you have a watered down version. And I've always felt for the longest time that what we've gotten of Jerry Lawler has been a watered down version. Now, look, I'll tell you something. When that unfortunate incident happened and he had that heart attack and it seemed as though we lost him, oh my God, it didn't matter what his past tribulations was. Nothing mattered. Whether New Jack, Jerry Lawler is racist, none of that mattered. Only thing that mattered is this guy gonna be okay? Man, not like that. Don't go out like that. What the fuck? And, once he was able to make his full recovery and everything, it just seemed like the entire wrestling community just really, like a big old blanket, wrapped themselves around Jerry and everything. And there was a nice little honeymoon period, right? But, I personally feel that honeymoon period, if anything, it might have been extended a little bit longer because of what happened with his son. But I think that honeymoon period is over. So I can't help but say, okay, look, that's great that you got Jerry Lawler, but did we really need to go in this direction? I would have been fine with Booker T coming back into the fold. Or if you want to do David Otunga, or if you want to do Byron Saxton, I would have been fine with any one of those guys other than Jerry the King Lawler. So, and I'm a little bit bummed out because it's like, okay, so what's going to happen? Like, we know what's going to happen with Booker T. We already know, and we'll get into that in a little bit because that ties into that new show that's going to be on FS1. But, like, what about Byron Saxton? So what's up with David Otunga now? Is David Otunga just going to continue to do the pre-shows and all that? Well, what's up right there? But, yeah, for me, I really homed in on Dio and Vic Joseph. They did pretty damn well. I was more impressed with Dio. And I think you guys would agree, Dio acted as though he's been doing color commentating for the main flagship shows for like just a couple of years. I mean, that's literally how he was acting. So he handled that like a true pro. He really, really did. Just off the gates, out of the gates, I should say, tonight, he did phenomenal. See, also the pyro. It's another thing you notice off the break. WWE brought the pyro back for their flagship show, Raw. I hope this trend continues going into SmackDown. So, I mean, smoke, explosives, whole 9 yards. We got that. Now, look, I might be missing some names, so if I am, you guys would have to enlighten me and the rest of the listeners. But just a little bit of time that I was taking notes. Brock Lesnar got his pyro. Alexa Bliss got her pyro. Becky Lynch got pyro. Miz got pyro. There was no pyro for AJ Styles, and I thought that was really weird because when he came out and he's doing the whole hand gesture and then he lets it go, you're thinking, okay, there's going to be some type of pop explosion or whatever, but did not see that. So I'm sure that there was probably a couple of more spots in there as far as pyro, fog, explosives and all that goes, but those were just off the break within like the first 90 minutes of Raw tonight. Those were the guys you're like, hey, wow. Even when Raw opened up with its new intro, which I think they need to work on, it sounds too, it doesn't sound Nickelback, but it sounds like bootleg. What's that group that was running around back in the day with the chick that was trying to be gothic or whatever? Evanescence. Yeah, it sounds like a weak version of that, and it's kind of like, I didn't particularly care for it. It's like, why don't you go do some, I don't know, Kings of Leon or some shit, go. I don't know, go holler at Dave Grohl or something. I mean, the shit, it didn't do anything for me. So I'm wondering what's going to happen with SmackDown. We keep hearing the whole AC/DC thing, but, you can't really assume that the official song for SmackDown is going to be AC/DC. You can't really, not until you actually see the graphic and the intro and everything. But even when Raw opened up with just explosives all over the place. I love that from just the production standpoint of it, having that great pay-per-view type of feel to it, making you feel like stop what you're doing, sit down, because what you're getting ready to watch is freaking, it's like a pay-per-view. You're in for a historic night. This is something of significant value. You don't want to miss this. So I like that they brought all of that back. That's something that we fans have been craving and wanting for a long time now. So for them to kind of go back into the basics and everything, I'm loving it. I am loving it. We did have a tag team match between Heavy Machinery, Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. They retained successfully their tag titles. That's actually a pretty good matchup. Street Profits did address when they were going to be fighting or wrestling, and the way that they had addressed it was pretty clever, because they basically had said, you guys will be able to see us in action. Oh yeah, this Wednesday on NXT. So doesn't look like for the foreseeable future they will be wrestling on Raw anytime soon, contrary to how some of us, yours truly, I have said a couple of times, what's going on with them? They're on Raw and they don't really have any interactions with the rest of the Raw roster or anything. I think the reference I made to them was they're almost kind of like the Deadpool of the WWE, because like they're acknowledging all of these things that's going on, and yet surprisingly, like, some of the things that they're saying, it's not being challenged by anybody on the Raw rosters. Like, they're in their own little universe. So far the only people that's like crossed paths with the Street Profits, who's it been now? It's been Ric Flair, it's been Kurt Angle, and it's been Booker T. Otherwise, they've pretty much just been flying at it alone for the most part. So it's kind of interesting how WWE continues to do them every single week. So other than that, there was another match that we had tonight. Just looking at the notes here. Oh yeah, by the way, we had thought for a second that the holler, if you hear me, you got a 25% chance in me whooping your ass. But then when you put me against 2 other people at 25%, I'm not going to do the rest of it. You guys just got to look it up. But yeah, we heard some sirens go off apparently during the Alexa Bliss Sasha Banks match, and we weren't sure if, because Becky Lynch was out there, so you're kind of going, wait a minute, these girls are supposed to have a Hell in a Cell match. Wait, did we miss something? Is something like an ambulance match going to happen now or something? Did Becky Lynch just call for an ambulance truck because she's about to beat the holy hell out of Sasha Banks? Like, what's going on here? And so you hear these sirens, and you're not going to a backstage segment or anything with Ray and Son, nothing of that nature. And so you just couldn't help but be like, holler, did you hear me? And you're kind of like, Big Bad Booty Daddy's back? What the fuck is going on here? And I like how the commentators kind of clean that up, because I'm kind of under the impression they were supposed to cut backstage or something, but it kind of seems like for whatever technical reasons they didn't go there. And so I like how Vic Joseph and crew pretty much said those sirens you're hearing, that's from Ray with his son Dominic. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more information on that. Yeah, that match though, quick cup of coffee for what it was worth. It was a quick cup of coffee. Becky Lynch trying to pick up where she left off with Sasha Banks. Nice little spot there. Speaking of spots, saw an AEW on TNT spot. Some of you guys had enlightened me about this, because I said, tell me I didn't just see that. And you guys said, nah, Lee, where you been, brother? AEW on TNT spots has been happening on the USA Network doing Monday Night Raw for the past couple of weeks now. I did not know that. I did not know that. And go figure, because these past couple of weeks I've been taking some classes. So by the time I get home, I was usually about, I would say maybe a half hour to an hour behind. Sometimes I like it like that, because then I can just blaze through the commercials and keep on going. See what else we got here. Just looking at the rest of the notes here. Look, the Seth Rollins, let me get on him again. Seth Rollins was interviewed by Charlie Caruso. I like that he mentioned the whole what Lesnar did to Dominic and Rey Mysterio. I like that. No problem with that. I also liked how he addressed Bray Wyatt. And the way that he addressed Bray Wyatt, he said, Charlie, look, as far as Bray Wyatt goes, I don't know what my game plan is. I don't have anything right now. The only thing I can do is just rely on my instincts and my talents, my skills. And honestly, this pay-per-view coming up Sunday, do everything I can to survive, prevail. So you can kind of say it's a recycled, because this is what he's been saying for the past couple of weeks. I'll give you guys that. You can say it's recycled. But at least we've got a Seth Rollins that is basically saying, I honestly, I don't know. I just don't know how to counter this guy. What really would have been even more validation to the Bray Wyatt character, because some could make the argument, well, fuck, dude, it's just a dude in a mask. Like, seriously, what the fuck? And I think the way that Seth Rollins could have, and it's not all on Seth, it's more so on the writers, but I think one of the ways that they really could have cleaned that up, and why Seth is so rattled and why he doesn't have an answer, it really would have been a good case right there where you could have had Seth say, hey, look, I know that Bray Wyatt is playing these mind games with this Mr. Rogers character and this monster gimmick, and I'm sure people at home, they can see this from miles away, but until you actually deal with this new entity known as The Fiend, the psychological games that Wyatt has been able to play so brilliantly these past several weeks, this is a different type of beast in itself that I've never faced before, as long as I've been here in the WWE. And Charlie, and then you can kind of connect it back and say, I just don't know how I'm going to be able to counter that. I just don't know. But we're going to try. Yeah, other than that, it was okay. Even seeing Seth Rollins get owned tonight by The Fiend, he didn't do... we didn't see him act like a little crying, little sissy like he did last week. I mean, last week, he was kind of having like the 19, whatever year the first Halloween movie came out, or Shelley Duvall in The Frickin' Shining. You know, we didn't see him acting like that, you know, this week, thank God, because that was a little bit too, you know, over the frickin' top or whatever. You know, what really would have been a nice question that Charlie could have asked him is, hey, you know, and I'm sure many other people wanted to know exactly, yeah, what's going on with that? Hey, Seth, why did you delete your Twitter account? You know, well, what's going on? Why'd you deactivate it? You know, what's up with that, right? And you know, the most simplistic thing you could have said, you could have had Seth Rollins say, since so many people were going to be talking about that, because they were talking about it even going on up into tonight's Raw. You could have easily had Seth Rollins say, look, you know, the reason why my Twitter is gone and I don't have it anymore is because Bray Wyatt was sending me these, I don't know how, because I'm not befriending him or anything, but he was able to send me these, you know, direct messages that were just very cryptic and really creeped me the hell out. And you know, or he could have went, you know, hey, look, I had opened up my Twitter and one of the last things I had saw was a weird direct message from Bray Wyatt saying no hard feelings. And I didn't think that much of it. I deleted it. I came back a couple of hours and my Twitter account was gone. So you tell me what's up with that, Charlie. So it would have been nice just to kind of play it off a little bit. Storyline, people, storyline. But it is what it is. Other than that, just trying to see if there was anything else with regards to Raw tonight. I kind of wanted to get into key point-wise. And there was really nothing else of significance that I want to dive into. There really isn't. If you all want me to comment any further on something in particular that really stood out, that really needed to be talked about, you guys can definitely sound off. But those were just the key points I would say tonight. Overall, it was definitely a good episode. I could have done without the Viking Raiders, a couple other things, but you know, hey, it is what it is. Hey, let's do this right now. We got some more fun stuff we're going to be getting into on tonight's show, man, but we got a responsibility to some of our sponsors and our Patreon members. We got to make sure we get into those respected shout outs. So what I want to do right now, I want to play a couple of ads. We got to give some love to SHEA. Definitely want to give some love to them. And you guys love FLASK, you know, those drinking bottles. Well, I got a cool little commercial I want you to hear with regards to those cats as well. So, you know, kick on back, relax. If you want to use the bathroom right now, or you want to chat with me in the Discord or in the YouTube chat, you could do so for the next little bit. But we're just going to pause for like about 3 minutes, let these ads play, because we got to pay some bills, all right? And then we'll get into some more wrestling news, little tidbits, some non-wrestling news related tidbits as well. All right, you are checking now the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders.
Hey fellas and ladies, listen up. If you're like me, you care a great deal about your skin. You want to make sure your skin is hydrated as much as possible and is healthy, nice, smooth, and oh so tight. You gotta pay special attention to this as you get older. Above all else, you gotta make sure the ingredients you're putting on your skin isn't harmful and instead is oh so natural. That's why I choose SHEA Natural Cosmetics. SHEA has the best all-natural skincare products made from all natural organic oils and shea butter. They offer the best vegan skincare products, from toning lotions, anti-wrinkle and dark spot correction, hair food, hair cream, and so much more. Need some free samples? Oh yeah, you can find it at sheaboo.com. Get 10% off your first purchase from SHEA's all natural skin and hair products when you sign up for their newsletter. So what are you waiting for? Head on over there right now, sheaboo.com. That's spelled SHEABU.com. sheaboo.com. One more time, sheaboo.com. This episode of the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is brought to you in part by FLASK at IHYDRO.STORE. Head over there right now to IHYDRO.STORE, where you can get yourself the very best and high quality Hydro Flask for half the price and For a limited time, you get 15% off your first purchase. So what are you waiting for? Head on over there right now. Head on over to IHYDRO.STORE. One more time, IHYDRO.STORE. Hey fellas, and you lovely ladies out there, listen up. Tonight's edition of the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is brought to you in part by Loose and Comfy. This site is really cool. Bookmark it and add it to your favorites because it will be launching in just a couple of days. I've been told it's going to be launching this week for sure. But what makes this site really cool is that it's created for any woman who loves to relax and be comfortable with no restrictions whatsoever. This also includes mothers that are expecting. Wardrobe is very cute, carefree, comfortable, and the way it is created for that special woman or as for a special gift. So you can't beat that. And know this, when you order from Loose and Comfy, realize you're assisting the owner of this respected website. You're assisting someone who is disabled and will be benefiting from your kind purchase. These are one-of-a-kind items, so you can say essentially this was made for me. Enjoy, and keep in mind you not only have benefited yourself, but also have extended the true act of kindness to someone else. You are special. Enjoy life in comfort and grab your package today. Head on over to the Loose and Comfy website at LOOSE-N as in Nancy dash comfy period Wix site. Wix spelled WIX site like website.com/favorites. That's loose-n-comfy period Wix site.com/favorites. If you missed all of that information, do yourselves a huge favor and check out the episode description of this very episode, as I've included a link in the description that'll take you directly to their website. And thank you in advance, because not only are you supporting this respected owner and their business, you're also supporting someone with disability. Thank you for your kindness and your generosity in advance.
All right, we are back. All right. So you're checking out the RCWR Show. Let's get into some Patreon shout-outs. And by the way, for your Patreon members, we do have, it's been recorded. It was supposed to be uploaded today, but I was doing many voiceovers, ad jingles, was actually narrating a book earlier as well. So all that got me sidetracked. I did not put up for Patreon the newest episode of Wrestling with the topics that myself and Tammy did over the weekend. So to kick off the month of October, that's actually going to be the first thing that drops tomorrow late afternoon. So heads up about that. But patreon.com/RCWR Show. That's the place where you want to be, because you get to check out bonus audio and video content, great majority of which you won't be able to find anywhere else. You could check out some early concept design drawings, as I've started working on some concept sketches for a painting I'm doing for one of my Patreon members, Freddie. Shout out to Freddie of Bray Wyatt. I also started some sketches for the WOW Women of Wrestling. I kicked it off with my girl Jessie Jones, aka Jessie Bell. So you get to see that whole process. It's cool too, because the software that I use while I'm drawing on my tablet with my Apple Pencil while I'm doing it and recording what could be a 2-hour session. By the time you guys see it, it's fast forwarded in basically 7 minutes. So it's really cool how it comes about. But you get to check out little stuff like that, a little behind the scenes stuff, new audio, video content, access to exclusive interviews, content that's not released for maybe days. You get first crack at it and then several days later, or it's just accessible to Patreon members only. Starts at $5 a month. Patreon.com/RCWR Show. Check it out. But shout out to Patreon members. Freddie. Shout out to Sean Kenter. Tony Bing Gaming. You want the very latest in knowing what's the skinny as far as news, new characters, walkthroughs, you name it, tips, strategy guides for Marvel Ultimate Alliance, or Marvel Strike Force, or you want some of the latest information on the upcoming MOBA game, Marvel Super War, Tony Bing Gaming is your guy to go to. Great YouTube channel. Also has a great Patreon as well. Shout out to Michael Wolf, John Davis, Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup, Joe Ramon Jr., and Justin Rabach. And special shout out to Patreon member John Krauser. John Krauser is continuing to do his thing at the Second City Theater for his Brain Freak live show. You want some ticket info? All you gotta do in a Bing or Google search, type in John Krauser Second City. Krauser, you spell Krauser. Type that in a Bing or Google search and you will be able to find it that way. And I got to check in with John because he's got some shows that's supposed to be happening in November, because he said something about he's going to be taking a break pretty soon, but he's going to be doing some holiday stuff. So that should be pretty cool. And he actually had sent me some videos of what he had did over the weekend. So I'm actually going to be working with him to get all of those compiled and try to make it be one nice little, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I got to look at the content first, see how long it is, and then figure out how I'm going to splice it or put it together or do a combination of both, maybe make some alternate versions or whatever. But check him out, and I will definitely get back with him and find out what's the future dates of the shows that he's got coming up. But yeah, John Krauser, Second City, being Google search, be able to check it out that way. I know for sure he's going to be doing another show this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, but I'll get with him and find out what's going on. All right, so appreciate all the love and support as always from our sponsors and our Patreon members. You hear a lot of these names being brought up over and over again. That's because they are the heartbeat. They make free content like what you're checking out right now possible. These guys have a voice, they have a say in what type of stuff they want to hear get covered on the show. Good example, and this is a good ass segue. I didn't even plan this segue. One of our Patreon members, Justin Rabach, he had a really good question with regards to CM Punk, right? And again, you can listen to the show in the Discord chat. Hey, Freddie. I know Freddie said he was having some issues in the Discord earlier there. I'm seeing the voice signal strength is fine now. So if there's any weird bugs, it's Discord. It ain't me because my internet connection is pretty strong. But Justin had a really good question earlier. He said, I keep seeing CM Punk's name popping up about joining the WWE for the past 48 hours. Should we keep an eye on it or just take it as just fake? Good question. All right, so let's rewind this back a little bit. We didn't get a chance to talk about this last week because by the time it happened, we were already a couple of days off the air. All right, so per PW Insider, and it makes all the sense in the world, right? So 8 out of 10, CM Punk and Mike Johnson were saying a little something, they were talking or whatever, and Punk probably had said, hey, Mike, blah, 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 blah. And Mike probably said, oh, man, gee willikers, that's freaking awesome. Hey, is there any way that I can somehow report this, but, don't let it be so obvious that I spoke with you? And Punk probably said, yeah, sure, what the hell, no problem, sure. Whatever gets you the clicks to hit, sure, no problem. You're my buddy, no problem, right? So last week, pretty much going into the weekend, the reports out there, again, per PW Insider, and I don't think it's fake news whatsoever. I will take it. If it involves Mike Johnson and it involves CM Punk, yeah, I will take that check. I will cash it any day of the week. It was also backed up by Dave Meltzer, all right? So CM Punk had stopped by, I guess Los Angeles, yeah? It was either Los Angeles or New York to one of the FS1 locations, and was doing some prep work for this new WWE show that's going to be hosted by Renee Young. Booker T is said to be part of this as well. Of course, I'm talking about the new FS1 show, WWE Backstage, okay? And you kind of get the impression it's going to kind of be something in the style. If you've watched enough of the shows that's on FS1 and ESPN, but particularly on FS1, then you have a really good idea of what you can expect. If you're familiar with First Things First with Chris Carter, Nick Wright, Jenna Wolf, or Undisputed with Chris Carter and Skip Bayless, then you kind of have a little bit of an idea of what you could possibly expect, or maybe Speak for Yourself, you know, that kind of realm, basically, right? Fuck Colin Cowherd, you know, he's a hypocrite, bashes the WWE, but then when he finds out Fox is in business with the WWE, all of a sudden he's been a wrestling fan. Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so I'm curious how this show is going to be executed. I'm definitely going to be watching at least a week's worth of episodes just to get a really good feel about the show or whatnot. But supposedly CM Punk had met with, Fox producers and everything and did some test runs with Renee because they were trying out different combinations to see, okay, what would gel, what would work out. And for all we know, the way that they might do this just like the shows I just mentioned that's on FS1 and have a great rotating cast of panelists, right? Like for me, if you watch any of those shows, for me, and you were asking me, who do you like, Lee, that usually comes by and talks sports or whatever. When it comes to football, I love when Mark Slurth stops by. I mean, I always find whatever he has to say very insightful. And surprisingly, he has yet to be a substitute for like a whole episode of either Undisputed or First Things First. I'm of all the guys that I need to see him get a show on FS1, he's a guy I would really love to see get a show on FS1, right? Play to his strengths, but it just seems like he's pretty well rounded. Another person, Chris Broussard. I love Chris Broussard, especially when it comes to the talk of basketball. Chris Broussard is the guy to go to. Rob Parker, he be hating on some things. He's all right. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. There's also a blonde-haired woman. I can't think of her name right now, but she has been substituting whenever Jenna Wolf goes on a vacation. But they tried out CM Punk. Rumblings were they also tried out Paige. There is some type of interest in Taz. So, and I hope that they are able to do something with Taz, because if anybody would be perfect to do something like that, Taz would be perfect. All right, so understand something. You hear this, you go, oh, so CM Punk back with the WWE. Not so fast. This is almost essentially kind of like the Goldberg, the Sting deal that was going on with 2K, right? Everything that we had saw with Sting and Goldberg being involved with those respective WWE 2K games, that was all brokered through 2K. Had nothing to do with the WWE. So when you look at what's going on here with this FS1, now one could make the argument, nah, man, like even though these are shows that's being produced and directed by FS1, surely WWE has some type of say in who they want to be on that FS1 show talking about their product, right? And I would say to you, yeah, you would be making a very good educated guess. Yeah. So look, when you go back to that CM Punk interview that he did on StarCast Weekend, remember one of the key things that he said with regards to the WWE, hey man, I don't have any hard feelings towards the WWE anymore. It is what it is. But as far as me picking up the phone and contacting them, no, it ain't happening. So, and what really would have been a good follow-up question from Mike Johnson during that, and I don't recall him asking, would have been, okay, well, Punk, respectfully, since you said that, you left it open, I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to ask you this. You said you wouldn't call them, but, if they were to call you, would you talk to them? Would you listen to what they had to say? And if he did say that, I don't really recall, because a lot of what I basically heard was, you'd be good in this movie. So I want to ask you some more about movies. So, hey, how about that movie? Did you watch? I heard too many movie references for the love of me. So, look, I think that with regards to the CM Punk FS1 stuff, look, again, we can take it to the bank, we can cash it. Legit news, right? That would be one hell of an interesting back window of a way for Punk to come back into the WWE. My question would be, you hear so many other people that's talking about this. Freddie, thank you for the $5, man. Appreciate it. If you guys want to do some super chats as well, you can do so as well, just like Freddie did just now. Look, I'm like this, and I don't think a lot of people are really approaching it from this standpoint. And I don't even think people are really exploring this. But hypothetically speaking, if CM Punk was to be working with FS1 for this WWE show, how unchained are you going to have CM Punk be? Are you going to have him be as critical as Skip Bayless? Are you going to have him be as critical as Chris Carter and Nick Wright? Right? Or are you going to have him be this, this robotic type of, you understand what I'm saying? So like, how loose, how unscripted is he going to be able to speak from the heart about what he is seeing with the product, right? And the other thing that like we need to understand, how exactly are they going to be treating this show exactly? Because are they going to be talking about the things happening in the WWE without guides? You know what I mean? Obviously, promote whatever pay-per-view is going to be happening, have special guests of the WWE roster that's going to be coming by, great little interview segments, things of that nature. And ultimately, it is if you really kind of take a step back and you think about it a little bit more, it is ultimately a great setup in the ultimate launch of when the WWE goes into the whole podcasting direction and everything like that, right? If you really stop and think about it. So, but for WWE with this FS1 show, how are you going to approach the stuff that's happening in the WWE? You got your guides and everything, but are you going to have these people just speak from whatever comes to mind and they can really just be as loose as humanly possible? I mean, obviously, it's not their job to cut down to size. That was a bad Raw, and it was bad because of, but like, how opened are these guys going to be able to be and speak when they're talking about the WWE product? That's what has me very intrigued to see how this show is going to be happening and everything. As far as CM Punk, for CM Punk to even entertain the idea of doing a show that is affiliated with WWE, that speaks volumes to me on so many levels, because I'm sorry, I'm just old school, forgive me. But let me pose this question to you all. How many times have you all out there worked for an employer where you felt like, you know what, man, these guys, they did me wrong. Fuck these guys. I don't want to have anything else to do with them. I'm not coming back. They can kiss my natural behind. I'm so out of here. I'm going to leave them bad reviews all over the place. Yelp, Glassdoor, Facebook. I'm going to copy paste that same review all over the place. I'm going to tell my friends and family. I'm going to tell anybody that's going to listen. I ain't doing, fuck them. I'm not doing anything else with them ever again. Okay? So you're hell-bent on that. You are all about moving forward, not backwards. Now, just say for the sake of the argument, 5-6 years later, because that's pretty much how long CM Punk has been away from the WWE. It's been like fucking 6 years now, right? So, okay, so 6 years later, you hear that this company that you had left, for whatever respected reasons, right? Just come up with your own respected reasons why you rolled out, and at the end of the day, you just said, fuck them, I'm tired of them, I'm tired of their bullshit. So you're trying to tell me 6 years later, because you hear that, oh, well, they're treating the employees better, and hey, the pay is a lot better, and hey, dental, medical, blah this, blah that, all this is, it's good. You trying to tell me of all the employers that's out there as far as paying you what you feel you deserve, you telling me that you're gonna come in some type of form crawling back, and don't give me, well, it's not the same employer, it's not the direct employer, I'm basically kind of working as a contractor, if you, yeah, but ultimately when you follow the dollars, it's still essentially connected to the employer that you rolled out from like 6 years ago. So you see where that's kind of like, so for me to see this, look, I love CM Punk. I respect the hell out of CM Punk. Everybody knows we did a cool episode about it. My journey and going back home to Chicago for the first time in like, you know, almost 30 years. You know, and it was a great homecoming and you know, getting to meet CM Punk and telling him, you know, how long I had been away and how I was trying to look up old family members and friends and everything. I've got a lot of respect for the dude. I do. But like this move just, you know, I need clarity because it's like, it doesn't make sense. Why are we going backwards? You know? And of course, the narrative that's going to be out there for some people, well, he must really be hurting for cash because everything that had went down with his failed MMA career and UFC or whatever, you know, that didn't really, you know, so he must be hurting for cash if he's trying to get back into the WWE and he's kind of going in through this back window of the FS1 and everything. Like, well, what the hell is up with that? I'm like this, at the end of the day. Just the fact that CM Punk would be, let's just say for the sake of the argument, say these reports are true. And Punk, you know, did do this. It leaves without a shadow of doubt in my mind that at a later date, Punk may be back in the WWE. Now, if you guys were to ask me, when do you think something like that, like if the trigger is going to be pulled, Lee, when do you think a CM Punk could be back in the WWE? Night after WrestleMania. The night after WrestleMania. I don't think it makes any sense right now to put him in there. Not right now. Now with everything that you got going on right now, would it help? Yes, it would help. But is he needed right now? No. He feels like one of those night after WrestleMania type of deals. So if we're sitting here in about 6 months or whatever, and let's see, November, December, January, February, March, April. Yeah. So if we're sitting here in 6 months and it's the Raw after WrestleMania and there's no CM Punk, do I rule out, well, that's it, and you know, forget about CM Punk. He's not coming back. It's very hard for me to say a definitive no because of this whole thing with FS1. It's a very, and I tell you what, the sooner Punk is willing to jump out there and do some type of an interview and tell his side of, okay, well, you know, this is what all had went down, the more we'll be in a position where we won't be scratching our heads so much going, this doesn't make any sense after everything that you've said about this company. Okay, you know what? We can be down with the whole bygones are bygones. We can be down with that. But on top of bygones being bygones, what's past is past. Like, let's just, you know, hey, you go your way, I go my way, and, you know, we kind of stay out of each other's hairs. And if we happen to run into each other at the same venue, you know, let's be cordial and everything. But hey, no hard feelings here. As far as working with you again, I'm all right. I will do just fine. But then it creates the other question, well, damn, why not work with a company like AEW? To the point, there was an interview that Cody Rhodes had recently gave, and he had shed more light on this meeting that apparently he did have with CM Punk, and the claims that, you know, Punk had made about, you know, just sent text messages asking me if I wanted work or whatever, right? So in case you guys had missed it, Cody and Brandy Rhodes, they had appeared on the Collider to promote AEW Dynamite, which, as you all know, is going to be premiering on TNT this week. We don't need to dive into the whole card again, by the way. Nothing has changed since last we were on the air with you guys. So and by the way, I will be live this Wednesday. I will do a special review of the AEW show. It's going to be a one-time deal. I'm still trying to figure out how we're going to go about talking about some of these shows going forward. It feels like I got to do a Batman Extended Family. So it feels like I'm going to have to branch out and get some help from some friends and family members to cover some of these shows that's going to be happening on a weekly basis. But different topic for another time. So he addressed the talk about the possibility of CM Punk appearing in AEW and everything, right? And he claimed Punk in an ESPN interview. He claimed that AEW only made him an offer via group text. Cody denied. And on the Collider show, Rhodes claimed there was in fact a formal meeting with Punk in a coffee shop regarding AEW. Key highlights here. Cody Rhodes on the changes of Punk appearing in AEW, 50-50. I really liked Phil, and he was really nice to me when I was in OVW as kind of a leader. He was a locker room leader, and then he had such a successful run in WWE, and I had never really had an adversarial relationship with him. I know he doesn't like when we discuss him, but I think I even explained it to him once. A lot of people ask us about him. I don't want to say no comment. I just don't think he knows, perhaps, and perhaps he doesn't want to be involved in wrestling anymore. If that's the case, no big deal. You gave us your body, you gave us this body of work, and CM Punk was an awesome wrestler. Now, with regards to the offer supposedly AEW made to Punk, he did kind of made us look like dumbasses, saying we sent him a text offer. I'm sure we texted him, but we also called him. Someone also met you in a coffee shop. We made genuine offers. We made genuine efforts. But in this case, 2019, it's been quite some time away from the ring. We got to focus on who really wants to be on board with us versus going out and finding someone who perhaps doesn't really want to be part of this. And great follow-up question from the interviewer with regards to why Punk made the statement if they talk to him in the future. Cody said, I didn't really communicate with him further after that. I expected to see him at StarCast. He gave this great live show that he did with Mike Johnson, where he was really great with his answers. I'm sure we'll run into each other at some point. If he ever wanted to be part of this and he had the passion to come back to wrestling, that door is always open. No ego, no situation would ever prevent us from having him come in, because the fans have never given up on Punk, ever. It's crazy. So here's my whole thing. And see, shout out to the person that did this interview. I mean, it was great follow-up questions, but you know what? The one question I would have asked them off the break, and I agree with Richie B in the chat, it would be so sweet to see Punk show up Wednesday on AEW, or just be involved in any wrestling promotion for that matter. It would be really awesome. But here's the thing. If I'm that person from the Collider interview and I've got Brandy and I've got Cody, and I'm not sure how many opportunities I'm going to have like this where I can ask whatever questions and leave no stone unturned. And I get that when it comes to doing these type of PR blitzes, you've got to be friendly, but you can be friendly and make sure that you're leaving no stone unturned at the same time. And my follow-up question to that last one I just read to you guys, I would have said, okay, so with all due respect, Cody, Brandy, but this information that you're giving us is months old. Why didn't you guys get in front of this as soon as CM Punk has said what he said about, oh yeah, they sent me a group text asking me if I wanted to? Why let this type of misinformation be out there? Talked about on social media, talked about in forums, and continue to grow and grow into something that ultimately it was not. Why didn't you guys nip this in the bud? Because when fans think of AEW, you and your wife are one of the first faces that appears, that is talked about, because essentially we know it's Tony Khan's company, but you guys right there with him are handling the day-to-day operations. Was there ever discussion from any of you all, from Tony Khan, hearing what Punk had said, to, hey, we got to immediately shut that shit down, because what he's saying is a great misrepresentation of what really had went down as far as trying to negotiate with him. Furthermore, why do you feel Punk had said what he said? Now, I mean, just, going back, what I had just said to you there, as far, why would Punk say that then? Because, if what you're saying is, no, this is the way that it really went, then what you're saying is Punk had lied. Or he exaggerated the fact, right? See, that's a good interviewer right there. That's why some of these people that do interviews, I kind of look a little bit cockeyed at, and I just kind of go, and I get it. Some of these, like I said, I've done my share of interviews, and sometimes, that's the difference between doing a podcast interview and a radio interview. A podcast interview, you can pretty much go all balls out. But when you do these little, media blitz type of things, it's very radio friendly. And I respect some of these cats, but you can still ask. It's not like you're asking a taboo question. It's a legit question that I'm sure more people would be like, yeah, so what exactly did go down there? Like, curious minds want to know. Like, what the hell? Also, we got the reports floating around. Apparently, John Hennigan, aka Johnny Nitro, aka John Morrison, aka Johnny Mundo, aka Johnny Impact. I feel like Method Man to Cal 2000. He had that one point where somebody was introducing, it was Chris Rock. He had the little skit and he was introducing Method Man. He was like, AKA, and he was just AKA. He was like, AKA, and finally Method Man just jumped in there. If you can't say it all, just say Meth. And it's kind of like, you can't say it all, just say Johnny. Shit. But yeah, apparently take it with a grain of salt. But supposedly he's gonna be hitting on back to the WWE. Meltzer, take the report with a grain of salt, but with regards to the report, he's saying that this is a deal that has been worked out between John and WWE for a long time now. The deal's been in the works for a while, and he also added that with regards to Hennigan, apparently this goes back like almost over a year ago, and that one of the reasons why Hennigan had not tried to go back to the WWE beforehand was because he wanted to try and make it as an actor, and he could not do that working under an intense WWE touring schedule. Meltzer also noted how Hennigan is 39 years old now and is a performer that relies on his athletics. So, I mean, that's understandable, but I mean, when you look at his body, I think he's in better shape now than he was when he was last in the WWE. But I mean, to be able to look at this guy now, he's found a great fountain of youth. He looks identical almost to when we had last saw of him, right? So, I mean, just scary, man. Just fucking scary. I know some people, because we were talking about it in one of the Discords earlier in the week, and when the news had initially broke out, and the question was asked, well, where does he go? Do you put him on the flagship shows, or do you have him go to NXT? And I just really, my answer to that was quite simple. Look at the current real estate right now. Well, I mean, we all could be in agreement that you can take some cats and you can just make them a SmackDown guy. They will thrive. But then you look at other individuals and you just kind of go, I don't know, man. Based on what I saw happen with this cat over here, I'm kind of under the impression that maybe, just maybe, they might get the EC3 treatment. Now, some people might look at the EC3 treatment and say, well, look, it's all good because he's getting camera time. He's getting a paycheck. Life is good, right? But I'm sorry, for everything that Johnny has been able to do, what he respectively was able to do for Impact Wrestling, what he was respectfully able to do for Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground really, really had shot him up the ranks big time. That really, really did. And then, so you see all of that and what he does on the independents, and then you have him come to the flagship shows and you basically kind of reduce him to, you know, like almost an EC3 role, you know? That's just, nah. I think with a guy like Johnny Mundo, let him tear it up in NXT. Let him tear it up in NXT. Let him tear it up in NXT UK. I think he would thrive very well under the NXT umbrella. If push came to shove, if maybe, just maybe, you kind of wanted to entertain the idea of, you know, maybe him being a 205 champion. My question is, how much does he weigh currently? And can he really, you know, can he get away with, you know, depending on how much he weighs? I mean, he looks like he probably weighs about, Johnny looks like he weighs about maybe a modest 250. So for him to essentially lose 50 pounds just to, you know, with the 205, you know, I wish that weight thing, you know, 205, I wish that would change. I wish the show would be called something else, you know. Just, but then again, you can't go with light cruiserweight or whatever. But I don't know. But yeah, I would put him on the NXT division and just let him ride off in the sunset that way. I fucking fear. Now look, not for nothing, but he did respond to the reports that was put out there. PW Insider, you know, they put out a former WWE Intercontinental Champion signs deal with, and you got John Morrison. He responded to PW Insider and he said, "Thanks for the heads up, PW Insider. Please let me know when I'm signed with AEW or ROH." And he's got a crying, laughing emoji face. So, I mean, as I always like to tell you guys, take these reports with a grain of salt until we see something actually materialize. You know, I think it's interesting though that, like, when reports are, you know, put out there, a lot of times you've got individuals that will, you know, like John did, you know, shoot the shit down and then, you know, or be upset at fans for, you know, commenting on whatever news, you know, blocking them and everything. And then 2-3 months later, it turns out the shit is true. And then they, you know, and I get that, okay, they are just trying to, I get that, but like, why take it to the extreme of you're blocking people and all that other shit, right? So, you know, here's something that not a lot of people are talking about, which is this. So, as it stands right now, Taya Valkyrie and John Morrison, they are a married couple, right? They just got married. I think it was, if not earlier this year, it kind of felt like it was last year, but I know they recently had got married and everything. They've been a couple for a while now. Okay, so Taya is still doing her thing at Impact Wrestling. So, you know, her contract runs a little bit longer than John's. So what? John is just, hypothetically speaking, he goes to the WWE. Okay, well, what about Taya? What happens with her? You know, is there an olive branch extended to her to come into the WWE as well, so that both couples can continue to travel the roads together, essentially be on the same shows together and all that? Or is it going to be a case where Taya is, you know, whatever she can get on the free agency market while Johnny is doing his thing for the WWE? You know, I don't see a lot of people that's talking about that. That's why I say, you know, in a case like this, a story like this, I would say take that with a grain of salt. Because I think it was kind of interesting how everything fell into place for Taya and John in Impact Wrestling. But make no mistake about it, if Impact Wrestling loses Johnny and Taya, it's going to sting, you know. And God bless Impact Wrestling. We've seen them take a decent amount of blows over these past couple of years with the way some of their roster has been shaken up so far, you know. And There's a couple of bright spots, but some of those bright spots, they just don't know how to handle those bright spots. Speaking of Impact Wrestling, they've lost Kevin Sullivan. Kevin Sullivan had officially issued a statement on social media thanking Impact Wrestling, and he's taking his Sullivan TV production company, Kevin Sully TV, known as KSTV, and it's official. Now he's gonna be working with AEW. And what's even more interesting about this is there is a report, take it with a grain of salt, but with what AEW basically did in acquiring KSTV, it essentially crippled Impact Wrestling from a production standpoint, and it's being described by some in Impact Wrestling familiar with the situation as a really dirty tactic that AEW had did there. And it's weird. It's really weird. Brad Davis of SES Scoops. He's usually SES Scoops. They have their moments in the sun. But this report, they're saying that AEW actually raided the production team of Impact, and the promotion lost more than just a VP of production. The new report indicates that Impact actually lost all the production services for Sullivan's Kevin Sully TV, which are now going to AEW after KSTV failed to secure a new long-term contract with Anthem Media. See, previously, Impact had been outsourcing a lot of its production work through KSTV in Nashville. However, KSTV recently signed a new contract over the weekend with AEW to work directly for AEW, thus leaving Impact in the process. Now, it's being reported that Impact has hired a local producer in Tennessee to handle the production work normally handled by several people, and Impact is looking to regroup. So, look, might I make a recommendation to Impact Wrestling if there's any credence to these reports and they're really hurting like that? I would say, on top of working with this production company out in Nashville, why not also work with the production team behind WOW Women of Wrestling out in Los Angeles? I'm sure that, those talents over there would probably love the opportunity to also work with Impact. And, not for nothing, but when you watch an episode of WOW Women of Wrestling and you just look at how things are shot from a production standpoint, it is so crisp. It is so well defined. You're looking at something that is extremely polished off, and it doesn't even come off like you're watching something that is like Pentagon Pro Wrestling. It looks very cheapish. It looks very bootleggish or whatever. This looks like something that, wow, how come I haven't been watching this sooner? How long has this promotion been around again? And and you realize it's been around for a couple of years, but just going back to what they did with their first season some months back on Access TV, and just the evolution of the production standpoint and everything. So, and it's all in the family when you stop and think about it, since Anthem Entertainment now owns Access TV anyway, which is going to be having Impact come on there. By the way, it looks like there's going to be an Impact Wrestling Homecoming joint that's going to be happening on Access TV. Kind of like the way they're going to be doing it for the next several weeks is you're going to be able to see there's going to be a Impact Wrestling Homecoming thing. I can't remember the rest of the programming they're going to be doing, but it's a slow introduction each week. The way they're trying to bring Impact Wrestling to the new audience, and it all sets up after Bound for Glory, the all new Impact Wrestling that'll be premiering on Access TV. So it's kind of cool how they're going about it from a marketing standpoint. Hey, let's get into some WWE Hell in a Cell picks. I want to pretty much close out the free portion. Well, our shows are always free. What I mean to say is that we usually do about an hour 15, hour 40 minutes of content for the webcast. And then we usually include like maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes of bonus content to include for on demand and on the downloads. Let's wrap up the webcast version of the show. We'll dive into some Hell in a Cell picks, but there'll be some more wrestling and non-wrestling related topics we'll dive into for on demand and on the downloads. I'm going to make the show be as nice and tight as possible. So I think the way we can probably have everything wrap up, we'll probably have the show, kind of feels like at this point, it'll probably be like an hour, 50 minutes. Nowhere near 2 hours, okay? So let's go out strong. We'll go out strong, and we'll talk about the Hell in a Cell card. And by the way, if you guys have been enjoying the show, you're new, welcome. You haven't done so, make sure you do subscribe and get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. We got Hell in a Cell that is going to be coming up this Sunday, which is October the 6th. 2019. You got me ringing hell's bells. My temperature's hot. Hell's bells. I gotta work on that a little better. All right, so let's look at the card that we got here. By the way, how much you want to bet Rey Mysterio and or Dominic is going to get some type of retribution on what Brock Lesnar had did to them this week on Raw? I do believe Kofi Kingston will be retaining that SmackDown Championship. I do believe. We shall see. As it stands right now, for Monday, October 1st, 2019, we only have 3 matches. I wish we had more matches to talk about. Yeah, we only got 3 matches. There is great confusion here. You got a pay-per-view coming up, and you've only got 3 matches so far. Nothing has even been announced for the pre-show. So obviously, on demand and the downloads, we are going to need a much fuller card to be talking about, because now it's not a case where, hey, you know, SmackDown's Tuesday, we'll have the rest of the card. No, SmackDown won't be until fucking Friday night. So what happens? Through NXT, are we going to know some more matches, or some stuff going to be announced throughout social media? What exactly is going to happen here? So I'll go through these 3 matches, and what will happen is I think I'll circle on back Friday, and whatever other matches become available, I'll do a Call That Match Edition standalone, and I'll just make that be available strictly on YouTube for you guys. All right, so as it stands right now, Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns taking on Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, tag team matchup. A couple of months ago, when it was kind of looking as though Daniel Bryan was the one behind the attacks and all that, and then they went in the direction of Eric Rowan, you know, part of me still kind of feels like, well, is it possible there's a swerve? Is it even remotely possible that Daniel Bryan's been in on this the whole time and he's going to screw the hell out of Roman Reigns? Is it even possible? And the timing would be okay if you were to have Daniel Bryan screw Roman Reigns, because you got the draft coming up and everything, right? And so just when it's really looking as though Roman Reigns is all alone and everything, as far as, okay, well, who could you slide in there to maybe kind of help out Roman Reigns? How about a guy like Ali? Ali was really tearing it up there before he disappeared for a hot minute. I say if anybody could benefit from working alongside a guy like Roman Reigns, Mustafa Ali would. So with regards to this matchup, I'm not seeing Eric Rowan and Luke Harper picking up the win, but I'm not seeing them eat a pin or take a submission either. I'm not seeing that. I see this match being thrown out. No contest or something like that. I just have this. I'm going to go with my gut feeling. I just kind of feel as though Daniel Bryan is going to portray Roman Reigns. So as a result of that, there's not going to be a winner, and it's going to be a 3-on-1 freaking beatdown. It just seems like it makes all the sense in the world, too, because you got Roman Reigns, who's the poster child right now for this latest Connor's Cure promotional campaign and everything. And, hey, look, there's nothing wrong with that and everything, but you want to talk about really building up a nice little good strong baby face there in a Roman Reigns. You want him to really get some damn sympathy in his favor. Why not have the big baddies beat the living crap out of him? Yeah. So I don't know. That's how I'm seeing that match play out. Next up, we got Becky Lynch taking on Sasha Banks. Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. You got Sasha Banks. She alluded to it on Raw, saying, "Hey, look, you know, that last time that there was a Hell in a Cell match that had involved some females, I was one of the participants in that, and I had held my own pretty damn good and everything." And for you guys that need a little bit more trivia there, that was for the Raw Women's Championship Hell in a Cell 2016 in Boston, Massachusetts. Sasha, you know, she may have the experience, but she's currently yeah, 0. She has no wins so far when it comes to these Hell in a Cell matches. So the one Hell in a Cell match, what do you think I was getting ready to say? No, she doesn't have an impressive record to be bragging about. So the one Hell in a Cell match that she was in, she had lost to Charlotte for the Raw Women's Championship. So, you know, that's great that you got the experience, but you ain't got the victory when it counts the most and everything. So, pay-per-view is this weekend, right? WWE 2K20 comes out on October 22nd, and history has shown, and I've been right every time, whoever is usually on the front cover of these video games, at least for the remainder of the calendar year, if they're holding on to a title and they're gracing the front cover, they holding on to that title a little bit longer. So I'm just, yeah, man, I'm just not seeing Sasha Banks as your new Raw Women's Champion. I'm just not seeing it. It'd be a nice change of pace, and, you know, let Becky be the one to chase after. I do love me a good chase. Sometimes the chase is better than the catch. Yeah. That's a tricky one. That's a tricky one, guys. I'm going to stay firm, though. I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to stay with Becky. I'm definitely going to stay with Becky. Now, see, how much of a factor is Bayley going to play in that matchup, if at all? And once again, I got to go back to that whole Bayley-Charlotte factor. You know, you kind of got to go back to that. And remember, this coming Friday on SmackDown, there's going to be a tag team matchup. If I remember it right, Charlotte and Becky are supposed to team up, I think, to take on Sasha and Bayley. If I'm wrong about that, let me know before we go off the air so I can correct. But kind of keeping that in mind, you kind of have to toy around with that idea that I brought up a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so is Charlotte and Becky going to have an understanding there? Is there going to be some type of a mutual, you know, hey, look, I'll have your back, you have my back. You know, obviously probably going to be some odds stacked. You know, or if you really want to send people home talking, yeah, they make the arrangements and everything, but in the end, is it Charlotte? Is it Sasha? Is it Bayley that all get the jump on frickin' Becky Lynch? You talk about one hell of a, that would be interesting. And with the timing of the draft coming about and everything, as far as forming new alliances and all of that other shit, how much of a factor does a girl like Ruby Riott play into the equation of maybe kind of being there for Becky Lynch and having her back and everything? I think the two of them would be a very interesting tag team, now that I think about it. So something else that you kind of got to look at. One more match we can talk about here. Don't worry, I'm trying to milk this for all it's worth, folks. Seth Rollins taking on The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Universal Championship. Can I tell you what I would like, but what's probably going to happen? I kind of feel as though what I would like is Bray Wyatt as the champion. That's what I would like. What I feel like is going to happen, I feel like Seth Rollins is gonna retain the championship by some type of weird bullshit. I'm not seeing Bray Wyatt eat a pin. I'm not seeing him take a submission. I'm not seeing any of that. I'm just picturing some type of a weird fuck finish where Bray Wyatt can, still kind of continue on with this feud. I would hope that we could just get the title off of Rollins, because I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm tired of the Rollins show. I just am. I'm sorry for you hardcore Seth Rollins fans out there. I love you guys. I really do. But it's like, from my vantage point, just understand where I'm coming from and where some fans are coming from. My God, this guy has had how many opportunities to be the man, and he's pretty much kind of, okay, he's great at chasing it. No doubt about that. He's great at chasing it. But then, once he has it, it's kind of, and man, Bray is just so goddamn white hot right now. If you don't pull the trigger and go with a guy, just everything, when you add up what you've been seeing these past several weeks with The Fiend owning the hell out of Rollins, and Rollins not having any type of a counter, not having any type of an answer. I mean, if I'm booking this and just kind of following with the storyline consistency here, Rollins is just not going to have an answer for a guy like Bray Wyatt. That's the direction it seems that you would go, right? Falls into that whole October month, Halloween, Oktoberfest, and all that other shit. You order WWE 2K20, and if you pre-order it, that is, you get the what is it, the Freak Fest thing that Bray Wyatt is featured in. Is like some bonus downloadable content or whatever. I mean, just looking at all of the things from the marketing standpoint and everything, I mean, man, Wyatt, I just from what I've been seeing so far with the storyline consistency, it's like, if Seth really is kind of dumbfounded at what he's facing in a guy like The Fiend, and with what The Fiend has been able to do, just think about it. What he was able to do to Kane, what he was able to do to Kurt Angle, and, just go through Jerry Lawler, just go through all the names. Why should Seth have immunity to that? Like, what makes Seth so freaking different that, nah, he's going to be the one to overcome that? Nah. They've been doing some really good, strong booking with that freaking Fiend gimmick as well, man. The last thing you want to do, if the Fiend does lose, like I said, it's going to be some type of weird bullshit. He's not going to eat a pin. He's not going to eat a fucking submission. I'm not seeing any of those things. Something, I don't know. That's just the vibe I'm getting. Either he wins, or there's going to be a fuck finish. So look out for that. All right, so what else we got here? Anything else we can get into here? I'm just poking my head in the chat, seeing what you guys are saying. Appreciate all you all that had checked out the live stream. I see Austin in there. I see Freddie. I see Richie. See. Yeah, The Rock is back this Friday on SmackDown. That's good. No, seriously, I'm excited to see. Honestly, it's not so much for The Rock. I'm really excited to see what SmackDown is going to be able to do on Fox. I'm really going to be paying attention to the numbers. That's what I'm really going to be paying attention to, because this is Friday night. Most people like to be out, doing the club, going to the movies, all that good shit. So, and for those of you that's going to be seeing the Joker movie this weekend, please be very, very careful. What do I think about AEW Dynamite? Be more specific. The show hasn't even premiered yet on TNT, as you know. So I need you to be a little bit more specific. If you're asking me about, specifically what do I think about what AEW has been doing so far with their pay-per-view events, it's been a learning experience. There has been some things they've been doing that's okay, that's great. And then there's things where, okay, this is a teachable moment. You can take this and, if anything, you can make the product better. As far as having anything more to say about the Wednesday night show, I'm not really going to have anything more to say about Dynamite, until it's in the books Wednesday night, which reminds me, I will be doing a special Wednesday night live edition of the RCWR show. We will talk about AEW Dynamite. I think I may also sprinkle in some more little tidbits of wrestling news, because now that I'm kind of thinking about it a little bit, I think that's the respected direction I want to go. So with regards to doing some more bonus audio content and all that, we're not going to do it for this week's show. We can actually save that for the Wednesday show that we'll do. But one thing I do want to bring up before we get ready to roll out, and I had mentioned this, and I get it because he really didn't make that much of a impact in pro wrestling and everything, but still, you know, look, a guy contributed to the business when it's all said and done. Richard Bognar, the fake Razor Ramon, he had passed away over the weekend, and it's really, really sad. The guy died young too, young. He passed away at the age of 49. This was the fake Razor Ramon. You remember the whole storyline that had came about, where we had a fake Diesel storyline that pretty much had followed the departures of the real Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, and Kevin Nash, Big Diesel, Big Sexy, as they had went from WWF at the time to WCW. And I don't know what WWE was thinking. I can remember being a little kid, and I just remember Jim Ross introducing them, and God, at that point, I think I was 15 going on 16. I'm looking and I'm going, who the fuck are these guys? And I just remember me and my friends were busting up laughing, going, really? Like, we know how the real guys look. It's like, we're not 5 years old. Like, I don't even think a 5-year-old would like bite into that. Like, seriously, like, where's the real guys? Like, you know, what the hell is going on? And the storyline ultimately was done in a way where they were trying to have Jim Ross go heel, but it didn't really seem like, and so it was axed rather quickly, you know. But yeah, that fake Diesel and that fake Kevin Nash, it didn't last that long. Of course, you had a nasty lawsuit that had came about with Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and the WWE, character infringement and all that other shit. Look, y'all got YouTube, Bing, Google search. You can search all of that. But this is a guy that had been involved in pro wrestling since, my God, the late 1980s, and he also had worked in AAA, also New Japan, but he really didn't do that much. You know, it wasn't a case where Lucha Underground or ROH or anything like that. It's just sporadic, you know, stuff here and there. One of the last wrestling appearances that he had made that I'm aware of was actually going back to 2012, and he had did it in his hometown in Calgary. But yeah, he had passed away. The news had initially broke out from his brother. There's no other information that is available right now as far as how he died. I'm hoping that before this week is out, we'll actually have more information about how this guy possibly passed away. But, you know, look, I hate to speculate. I really, really do. But when you hear about somebody passing away at the age of 49, a couple of things come into mind, which is, okay, well, what was the type of lifestyle that they had lived that ultimately cut their life so short? You know, were they doing a lot of hard drinking? You know, were they doing a lot of drugs? Was this a case where they were years removed from drugs and alcohol, but, you know, pretty much the damage was done and everything? Like, you know, was this person suicidal in any type of way? And, you know, as I always like to say, when it comes to little instances like this, it's basically, you know, let's all give the family their respected space. And if they want for us to know, then I'm sure they will release some type of a statement. But let's just all back away from this, give the family a, try to give them their space, their privacy, and let them figure all of this out. They got to deal with funeral arrangements and all of that shit. But, it's one thing when you have somebody that is at the age of 80 and, oh man, that sucks. But you could say, oh, well, at least they lived a nice, long, fruitful life. But to hear of somebody passing away at 49, right? That's just, whoa, especially if you're like maybe around my age and you're kind of like, that's about almost 10 years away. Like, what the fuck were you doing, dude? Like, seriously. So, for a lot of people, he's just a little thumb on a moment in wrestling history. And as a result of that one bad moment in wrestling history, his entire body of work is overlooked as a result. And a lot of people are just so, who cares as a result. But, no, I really don't think anybody that is truly a fan of wrestling is a fan of wrestling from yesteryears and everything. Look, not for nothing, I can remember seeing some of this guy's stuff when I got older, and he was already, out from the WWE and everything. And, you got the beautiful thing of the internet and all that. And, there was actually stuff that he had did that I had liked. And it's just so unfortunate that of all the gimmicks that came his way in the WWE, it's unfortunate that that was the gimmick that he had got, because that's just, nothing else mattered. Whatever he did prior, whatever he did after WWE was irrelevant, because that one moment in history forever branded. And, it's really, really, really sad. I can remember now, I don't know if it was him or if it was the fake Kane, because I think the same guy, on top of him being the fake Kevin Nash, I think he might have also been the fake Taker or the fake Kane. But it was one of those two. It was either the fake Diesel or the fake Razor Ramon that had said, I can remember one day I had tried to call up Vince McMahon and, check in with him, ask him how he was doing and everything. And, he was asking me, who is this? And I had said who it was. And, he was very direct with me, rather rude, and told me to never call him again. And that was the last time that I had any type of contact with Vince McMahon in the WWE. And this was like maybe a couple of weeks after that whole storyline just kind of, it met its course. That's it. We're done. So for Vince McMahon, obviously, that's one time in WWE history he probably wishes never happened. But, it did happen. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking at the time. I'll tell you exactly what he was probably thinking at the time. Well, look at these soaps that's running around. These soaps replace actors all the time. Hey, this actor no longer wants to do this show and do this role because the money didn't add up. So now, taking the place of Adam Chandler is Robert De Niro, right? So it's like, we don't need them. We can take these characters. So I get where Vince McMahon, and that needs to be an episode of Something to Wrestle With. I don't know if Bruce Pritchard's already done it or whatever, but that's an episode I would love to hear. As far as what the fuck was Vince thinking? How many of you guys tried to talk him out of this? Did you try to talk him out of it? And why was he so hell-bent on the fake Scott Hall and the fake Kevin Nash? What the hell? I'm very curious, like those close to the situation, like they can give us somewhat of backdoor bird's eye view, if you will, the mindset of what was going on with Vince during that whole time period, right? That's some fun research I can look into for you guys going into next week's show too, is see if Bruce Pritchard had put anything out there. But I would like to believe that with the death of the fake Razor Ramon, if Bruce isn't already putting something together, you know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure Matt Coon is definitely going to be putting something together for it as well. I got the Cape. Cape had came in with a super chat right as we're getting ready to wrap it up here. Appreciate the super chat. Everybody, Freddie, Cape, appreciate everybody that does a super chat. Always remember, if you want to do a super chat when we're live during the air, you can definitely do that. And if you enjoyed the content, you haven't done so, do consider being a Patreon member. Sign up at patreon.com/RCWR Show. For just $5 a month, you can check out even more great bonus audio, video content, great majority of which you won't be able to find anywhere else. Cape is saying here in his super chat, Rollins placeholder till Reigns gets another run. We're 6 months out from WrestleMania. Anything's possible. Could it be Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins at WrestleMania? It very well could. Look, not for nothing, but I do believe that Roman is going to continue to stay on SmackDown. But his ticket to get to facing Rollins for the championship at Mania would be through winning next year's Royal Rumble. And then that's how he would be able to punch in that ticket and face. I think that would be a good matchup. I don't think people would really have an issue with seeing that. It's kind of refreshing at the same time, kind of something a little bit new. I don't think fans would have a problem with that whatsoever. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't have a problem with that, but then it kind of goes back to, well, what about The Fiend? If you're not going to pull the trigger on The Fiend this year, then what are you going to do? What is the whole point in building up this character? And, long-term wise, what they've walked themselves into with that Fiend gimmick, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful problem to have. Quite honestly, it's a very awesome, beautiful problem to have. Well, guys, that is going to do it. There's not going to be any more bonus content that I'm going to add to this show. So once again, what's going to happen, we're going to do a Wednesday night edition of the RCWR Show. It's going to come on live as soon as AEW Dynamite goes off the air. Now, we're not going to do like some people and do just strictly a AEW recap. We're not going to do that. We're going to give you guys the full dose of the RCWR Show. All right. If there's any new developments with the Hell in a Cell card, we'll talk about it on the Wednesday show. But the way we're really going to switch it up, on top of talking about AEW, we'll talk about some ROH. We'll talk about some Impact. We'll talk some WoW, Women of Wrestling. We'll talk some MLW. So that's going to be a really nice roundabout type of show that we'll do for you guys. Because remember, as far as even more WWE talk, it's really not going to happen. We can also talk a little bit about NXT as well. I will be able to talk about NXT. But other than that, it's like SmackDown's not till Friday, right? And then we got the pay-per-view on Sunday. So that Wednesday show is going to be a nice roundabout type of show. I think you guys will enjoy it. We'll test that out. We'll see how it goes. And honestly, if people want a Monday and a Wednesday show, then that's something I would have no problem doing for you guys. Okay. So programming note. So we got that. That's going to be this Wednesday. And then also, you Patreon members, I'm going to drop that Wrestling with the Topics with Tammy. I'm going to drop that later this afternoon. So be on the lookout for that. So we got those two knocked out. And then this weekend, we got Hell in a Cell. We'll give you that. That's going to be live as soon as the pay-per-view concludes. We'll be streaming live here on YouTube, also in the Discord chat, also via the RCWR Show app that's available for free in the Google Play Store. So that's going to be some good shit that we'll be able to check out. That's good shit. And then what happens? Everything pretty much culminates next Monday. It'll pretty much be the Raw after Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Come right back here. We'll do this whole thing again. I'll have a lot more to say about the programming coming up in wrestling for this week. And I'm looking forward to that Wednesday show. I am. I'm here in the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. I would have tried to go to this AEW show, but I've got to focus on a trip to PA in a couple of weeks. It's a resort trip I'm getting ready to gear up for, so I need all the money that I can get to get ready to do this resort. It's kind of like one of those last little getaways before the holidays kick in and everything. Last little opportunity to enjoy some traveling and all that before the snow hits and everything. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to checking out AEW Wednesday night, and it should be a really, really good show. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Good luck to everybody involved with AEW, whether it's in the ring, but behind the scenes, production standpoint, all that. Good luck to the men and women behind the cameras, in front of the cameras, for a great show coming up Wednesday night. I think it's going to be pretty fucking awesome. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR Show. And until next go round, I'm wishing all y'all to be safe and most importantly be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round. Adios.